The S&P tagged 5,000. What exactly is coming next? And I also have some interesting technicals to share with you about some specific companies in this video. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and I hope that you have a stick of butter ready and a pan because it is Friday. All right, we're going to take a look at SPY and QQQ, provide some commentary on what could possibly be coming up for us throughout the next week. And then I also have some companies, Trade Desk, Moderna, and AMD to talk about. I also want to mention Nvidia, as I have my Nvidia stock price prediction and earnings projection ready to go. I will tell you later where you can see that, along with my buys and sells, about my options course that I'm constructing, and about how you can do technical analysis like I do in these markets. In the meantime, let's get right over into the chart. So I'll pop that up for you. And we're going to kick things off by looking at SPY. So SPX is the S&P 500 index. SPY is the ETF that tracks it. We are really darn close to that 500. In the pre-market right now, we are less than $1 away from that 500 mark, and we could get a significant round number resist right around that area. So that's something that we want to be watching for, that we could possibly retrace just a little bit off of that number. So we're going to be watching for that, maybe possibly giving up from a 500 or maybe even peekabooing over it a little bit if that momentum does decline on us. As we watch for this thing, maybe down to about 495 to 493. So we could give up maybe 1.5% to 2%, I would say. We just need to watch this and find out what's going to happen. We need to keep in mind that next week we have CPI and PPI coming out. Those are going to be important to us. And Michigan consumer sentiment also comes out on Friday of next week. So those are things to keep in mind as we watch the markets. We have astounding earnings from a lot of big tech that was out there, and the earnings themselves are typically going pretty well as we watch those, allowing the markets to continue to move on upwards. There is speculation about bank uncertainty. We'll see if that becomes one of those things, especially as we draw on to March, if that's one of those things that starts to become a hindrance to us in the markets. It starts to cast some shadows of fear and doubt on that. Now, mind you, labor market and inflation is going to be important as well. So will we cross 500? There's a really good chance that we do break that 500 line and continue northward from there. I think you hear my baby in the background at the moment, and nearly 8 months old. Couldn't be happier with her. I have 3 daughters, as a matter of fact, and the older 2 are pretty much teenagers at this point in time, and very blessed in that way. Let's move on to the Qs. Onto the Qs, we're nearing that 435 mark where I thought possibly we peak out. We're actually seeing a little bit of bearish divergence show up with the RSI on the daily chart. So just another sign that we could possibly see just some near-term softness, but I do think that we're going to continue for at least a little while up this path where we'll see if we peak out at 435 and that we bounce off of support here before heading back upward, or watching to see if we break down through. If we do, it looks so far like this yellow line here, which is the 13-period EMA that we're looking at on the daily chart, that's been significant support for us. So we'll see if that continues to be support. Should we come back down and test that? Right now, it's at about 426. So we'll see, maybe by the time we would actually get there, it might be closer to 430. So we're going to have to look and see what exactly takes place with QQQ and watch this divergence that we have here. If we continue to see more low peaks coming off of that and maybe possibly draw down near that 50. And that could be that thing, like I said, about inflation reports, job reports, things that would indicate that the Fed is going to cut rates sooner than later. That's what we're going to be watching for positive catalysts in the near term for the markets. Let's get into some of those other technicals that are out there. The trade desk has been in this consolidation pattern for a while now. Bit of an inverse head and shoulders, struggling with its 50-period EMA and the 50-period SMA, which are both tied up together right in here. Let me expand that a little bit so maybe we can see it just a little bit better. There we go. So you can see that candle right there that we peekabooed up above it, and then went right between this blue line and red line. They're so darn close together, and that was where we ended up closing. Well, today in the pre-market hours, we're back up above both of them. Today could be that day that we start breaking to the upside on Trade Desk, and so this is one that I'm absolutely watching and looking for a position in. And then if we move from there into Moderna, we have tested and retested the 50-period EMA and SMA, and we have dropped below it. This is one that could continue to drop and give up several dollars. So Trade Desk long play, I think it is shaping up pretty nicely for us. Moderna short play, I think, is shaping up pretty nice for us. And we have this trend line right here, along with some other supports, right at about 88 down to about 85. We're going to be watching for those numbers. It's possible that we even come down into the low 80s for Moderna. So I think that is setting up for a potential short in the near term, and I think it's very much worth your attention. Now, AMD, if I change up the view a little bit here so we can see a little bit more, And let's get one that I really like here. There we go. I like that one. So we have a bit of a bullish pennant happening here, and we have the RSI tapering down nicely towards that 50. We want to see if we catch that bounce. We do not want to break this support on the bottom trend line. If we do that, that could cancel the formation, and then we retest this previous all-time high that we had back in 2021, I believe it was, and then we could fall through that if we come back. But there has been significant buying pressure anytime that we've come down near that. So we want to be watching for that one, and we want to break over the top of this trend line right here to see that bullish pennant play out. And if we do, it's possible that we go back and retest the all-time high on this around 185, and it's even possible beyond that we even go up to maybe that 190 mark. We're going to have to watch and see. Should we break to the upside on this one, but it is possible that we have more bullish movement coming out of AMD sometime in the near future. Maybe AMD can be catalyzed with what we have for Nvidia. So for Nvidia stock, we went up to about 707, I believe that it was, 707.94, so almost 708 before retracing on this one and closing back down under 700. Having a little bit of trouble right now with the prices, and we had a significant run up. This thing took off from about $500 per share. It went up $200 from that. So a 40% change just going back from the 8th of January. So 1 month's time to the 8th of February to move up that 40%. That was absolutely incredible. Is there further upside to be had? Well, if you guys want to see the work that I've done on that, I have my Nvidia stock price prediction and earnings projection available over at the Patreon right now. I have my video up for that. I have the spreadsheet up for that. You can see the numbers that I put out. You can see the conservative views that I have and the sort of price that it works out to be. And I think that you'll find it pretty exciting if you're an Nvidia fan, an Nvidia investor, if somebody who's just looking for trading opportunities on Nvidia. That is most definitely worth checking out. And if you guys want to know how I play these markets, I do a lot of it through options. And so if you want to see how to use options, how you can use them to amplify the power of your portfolio, I have a course that I'm building out over there, getting into the application side of those options now as I develop for that. The initial videos in this are very much for the complete beginner, and they will move up through advanced trading strategies. And if you guys want to learn to do technical analysis like I do, you can still use for a few more days yet the coupon code TRADE, TRADE, for massive savings on that course. There is lifetime access. There's a Discord community that goes along with it. And then there are also live lessons that are also over there as well. I have a chapter in this. This is Stockmo's course that I have contributed to, and I'm also over in that Discord that goes along with it. All right, so for Nvidia, some dates you want to pay attention to. Check this out. Their earnings, by the way, are on February the 21st, so be looking for that. That's also my wife's birthday, so a big old happy birthday to her, and hopefully we get a big old birthday present in the form of some really strong earnings and forecasts coming out of Nvidia on that day. And then the GTC financial analyst, we actually want to go over to the next page to the GTC conference page itself. So nvidia.com/GTC, March 17th through the 21st. That can most definitely be a week of further catalysts that we want to be watching out for Nvidia. We're going to have to see what sort of price action we get leading up to earnings and following from earnings. And this can absolutely be something as they talk more about the H200 series and about the Blackwell series and their future roadmaps that they have and the development that they have going on. I think that this is going to be very exciting for Nvidia, and I think that it can be a very positive catalyst. Maybe it's a run up and we buy the rumor and sell the news, or possibly, depending on the price action that we come in low to it, that this could lead to some excitement and a further positive catalyst that we see for their price action. All right, so let me wrap this thing up for you, and I'll bring that down. There we go. And I just got something in my eye, but I'm going to work through it here. So the indices, with what we have right now, I think we are getting near a temporary top that we're going to see a little bit of a pullback sometime in the near future. Maybe it's leading up to the CPI, because we kind of got to sweat that moment. Because if we get a strong report for inflation on that one, that could be something that could be a very negative catalyst for us, cause us to really pull down from that. If it's something that comes in as expected or better than expected, that can be a positive catalyst for us. And we definitely want to watch and see what it does to the Fed's interest rate decision for March. March the 20th is when we hear those results coming out from the Fed. So that's another thing that we want to keep on our calendar. These inflation reports are absolutely critical to the markets because they're critical to the Fed's decisions regarding those markets. And if you're interested in something like TMF, for example, you do want to see those rate cuts happen sooner. Russell 2000 stocks and IWM, which tracks the Russell 2000, that can also be something to be catalyzed for that. Auto stocks would definitely be in there. Solar stocks, as we pull those dates forward for cutting, that is something that as we near those cuts, they can be definitely positive catalysts for what we see for the bond market, and then also what we see, like I said, for auto, for solar, things like that. And also bank stocks can also possibly benefit from that as well. So we're going to be watching for those things. Keep your eye on Trade Desk, Moderna, and AMD. And as always, Nvidia, if you want to see my stock price prediction and earnings projection, see my buys and sells, that link is down in the description. Go ahead and click on that, sign up, and join us over at the Discord, and let's talk about it. And then also, that link for the technical analysis course, go ahead and snag that. Don't forget about the coupon code TRADE, TRADE. Only a few days left on that coupon code, and then the savings go away. So just take advantage of that while it's still alive. As always, guys, thank you for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.